Welcome into the ASU football post-game show, Big 12 champions.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the PHNX Suns pregame show brought to you by Gila River Resorts and Casinos. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playatgila.com for more details. I'm Lindsay, that's Gerald, that's Steven, that's Espo. And yes, we are out here at Gila River Resorts and Casinos, specifically Wild Horse Pass Hotel and Casino for a watch party. This is your sign. There is still time to come join us, watch the game together, and of course, if you are not local or unable to join us, we'll still have a post-game show for you guys here on YouTube as well. Guys, how are you doing tonight? Are you excited to eat a spicy chicken sandwich, Gerald?
I am. I'm very excited.
They're so good out here, you guys.
It's the only thing I've ever ordered here
Same.
because it's that good, and I don't want to switch it up and mess it up.
I've had my breakfast and lunch here, so I'm ready for dinner as well.
You have been here since the ASU watch party.
8
Going
a.m.
hard.
Yes,
Go
8
Devils.
a.m.
Go Devils.
So, long day, but here to enjoy whatever this Suns game's going to be.
It could be worse location for you to have to spend
Oh,
all day,
no.
to be honest with you. This
They-
is pretty nice.
They have set the bar so high that I haven't lived up to it since I've been here. It is fantastic. I've enjoyed it. It's been a fun day out here, and it'll be a fun evening.
All right. Steven, how are you?
I'm blessed as always. It's basketball to watch, there's basketball to cover, and it doesn't get much better than that. Besides being in the arena, as Gerald is well aware of. So outside of that, I have zero to complain about. I'm ready to get to it.
Steven, does it qualify as basketball when Kevin Durant's not playing for
Ooh,
this
great
team?
question.
I mean,
It
does it?
It does because I'm a sicko that will watch the Division III or community college basketball on YouTube if I had an
I
extra
believe that.
hour
I
of the day.
100%
So you've
believe that.
heard it right. Steven believes that the Suns are
Oh, my
a
God.
junior college or rec league basketball team without Kevin
And
Durant.
Espo is a lawyer at
Clip
heart.
it. Clip it.
Twisting words, all of that. You heard it here first.
Welcome to
my life.
the PHNX Suns show. If it's not Espo, it's me. If it's not me, it's Espo. Get ready, guys. All right, well, tonight we've got the Suns in the first night of a back-to-back for them, facing off against the Heat. The Suns are 12-9 on the season. Can they get a win with all the injuries they are dealing with? Not just Kevin Durant, unfortunately. We'll start with the injury report in this one. Kevin Durant. So, you want to do starters first?
Yeah, so we got the starting lineup. It's going to be the same as last game's. Tyus, Book, Bradley Beal, Royce O'Neal, and Mason Plumlee. I'm curious to see how Plumlee does against Bam Adebayo. The last time these two teams played, I think Bam shot 5 for 21. He really had a rough shooting night. It hasn't been the smoothest season for him so far. So the Suns are going to want to repeat that type of defensive performance against him in this game. And let's be honest, this is a game that they need to win. They should have won their last game. They have a tough back-to-back coming up here. You want to take care of business on the first one. And tomorrow you get a Magic team that is going to be missing Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner. So suddenly that game becomes a little bit more winnable, even though it's a back-to-back within 24 hours. It's like an hour and a half earlier than tonight's start time. So start this trip off right, and maybe you can salvage a 2-1 road trip here out of these 3 games.
I was surprised it's not Oso. I thought that we might see that change where Oso would get the start tonight, especially against Bam. I know you'll see a lot of him. I think the kid's owned it, though, or earned it, though. Not owned it. I mean, he could own it at some point, but I think he's earned it with what he's been able to do. And I'm getting to a point where I feel like if you got to be without Nurk, you might as well see if Oso can actually handle some of that job, because we've learned Jusuf Nurkic, Mason Plumlee, can't always play against certain matchups, or at least not play large minutes. So can Oso actually be that guy? If there's a perfect time to find out, it's now, because you can't wait until you get into those March and April games to find out. So I hope at some point during this stretch we see Oso get that start.
It's for how well he's been playing the last 3 weeks now, about three and a half weeks. In addition to how Miami's known to defend centers that they could care less about. Unfortunately, this is no indictment against Mason Plumlee, but Miami, Eric Spoelstra just does not care if he scores 20. And because of that, I don't think that Bam's going to spend much of any time guarding him. They probably stash him on Royce O'Neal or someone of that capacity and let one of the smaller players take over from Mason like they did with Nurkic last time out. And that's something they have to figure out. And I feel like if Oso started, because of how well he's been playing, because of how well, as you talked about, he gets out of his screens, not always making contact, but creating new pace, also getting into the short roll and playmaking from there, that's as valuable as anything that's not Devin Booker taking or making shots to the offense right now. Because of how connective it is, it gives him a little bit of an identity to lean into. And without him starting, I don't necessarily care for it, but I do think he plays more minutes than Mason.
Well, yeah, because I feel like Oso would force them to have to pay attention to him with the little things that he could do because at some point. Now, obviously, there's the trade-off because Oso can't shoot for anything, and I don't want to see a push shot three at any point.
I
but
do. I think it would break the internet.
I don't know if you want to see a Mason Plumlee left-handed jumper either.
Oh,
I mean, no.
We saw a turnaround, a Hakeem turnaround earlier this season, and we all said, "Oh." So
fair enough. Fair enough.
I mean,
checkmate.
To be fair, if Mason does struggle, that Bud will immediately go to Oso and try something else. So there's a good possibility Oso might get a little bit more run tonight than Mason Plumlee does, even if he's not in the starting lineup. This is going to be an interesting game. The last time these two teams faced off, the Suns did get a win on their home court, 115-112, but they had KD in that game. I just really hope that they focus in on their defense tonight, because that has been one of the Achilles heels, probably the top one for the Suns when KD has been missing from the lineup. Bradley Beal and Devin Booker have to be like at 100 when it comes to defense in this one.
They do, and this is a team that has the worst defensive rating in the entire NBA when Kevin Durant is out of the lineup by a pretty hefty margin too. It's not something that is tenable during this stretch where you're missing him. Even if it's only a 1 week stretch and they have him back for next weekend's slate of games, like, you need to finish this road trip in a more positive way, especially after dropping one that you should have won the other night. So I'm hoping that they figure something out on the defensive side of the ball, because it's not any one thing either. When you're missing Kevin Durant, it's multiple facets of your defense that take a hit. And with Ryan Dunn out as well, they're going to have to collectively step up and everyone own their assignment, communicate, rotate well. They just have to be better across the board defensively than what we've seen so far without KD.
Ryan Dunn being out is like the double whammy.
But I think you could turn to Josh Okogie a little bit in this one and try to up that defensive intensity, because I don't feel like it's not like these guys forget how to play defense, right? And I don't know if it's you need that spark with that intensity that somebody's out there and hey, I need to live up to what this guy's doing on the defensive end, or what the case may be. Maybe it is simply, as Eddie Johnson told me at one point, when your offense flows really well, it makes it a lot easier to play on the defensive end with this squad, and maybe it's that simple as well, but something has to give if they want to get back in the win column on the defensive end for sure.
Well, Steven, you wrote a notebook about this today, right? What was kind of your biggest takeaway from looking at the defensive side of the ball without KD?
Well, I was looking at it from the lens with him, but without him, I'm going to bring it back to one of your biggest talking points this season, leadership. The way a team responds when X players on the floor versus when they're not on the floor is one of the easiest ways to identify who the leader is. Now, you can say what type of leader they might be, whatever. Leaders are the people that always how people respond to them. That's the easiest way to identify it. Devin Booker has leadership qualities. Bradley Beal has leadership qualities. Kevin Durant is the leader. There's a sense of urgency. There's a bar that everyone meets, the other four players on the court, when Kevin Durant is on the floor. Look at that game against Brooklyn where he had the back and forth with Dennis Schroeder after he sent a shot to the fifth row and let him know about it for about 5 seconds afterwards. And then comes back and gets another block shot on a closeout and recover in that scenario. it's little moments like that come at perfect timing over the course and flow of the game that just identify why he's just so valuable. And arguably, his defense might be equally, if not more valuable than his offense to this team.
I mean, I think you're right. The way people respond is how leadership should be determined, and it scares me because all you people do is laugh at me. So, case in point.
Well, you're a comedian at heart, so you got to bring the context to it, sir.
No, let's not bring the context to it. Let's just leave it at that. But as you talked about how EJ was saying, you know, when your offense is humming, it's easier to play defense for this team. They do have to worry about the offensive side of the ball as well, because Miami has held their opponents to under 100 points 6 times this season, and all 6 times they've won that game. So it's not going to be easy running with this Miami defense either.
No. And they need to do a better job than they did the other night of minimizing the bad turnovers.
Yes.
Because the last time these two teams played, I think they gave up 20 points off turnovers. And that was a game that, if you remember, they were down by 15 about late in the third quarter, and then they had a run to close that quarter and were able to turn things around. You can't count on that with Kevin Durant out this time around. So you've got to minimize those turnovers. They burned you last time you played this team. They burned you last game. If you don't give this team extra possessions, you have a much better chance of putting together good offensive possessions, which they have been able to do without KD, and also letting you set your half-court defense.
What's interesting, these are two very uneven teams, though, when you look at it. I mean, Miami's only 10-10. They've won some impressive games, had some great overtime winners. They blew out the Lakers. Granted, that's not taking much these days. But, you know, that's the weird thing. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the weird thing. You don't really know what either of these teams are. I mean, obviously, both teams suffer when their star, Jimmy Butler or Kevin Durant, is out. But I don't really know what to fully expect out of this game this evening, and I don't know if that's intriguing or terrifying.
One thing that does concern me a little bit, maybe kind of terrifying, Terry Rozier's numbers in the fourth quarter, because all of these games have been tight this season for the most part, even when Kevin Durant has been in. This one was a prime example, right? The Suns won by 3 points. Terry Rozier is shooting 61.5% from the field, 52.9% from deep, and is perfect from the free throw line in the fourth quarter of his last 6 games. So if this comes down to clutch time, they've got some guys who can handle business. Can we?
We do. They've got to do it, though.
We have them, but can they?
They've got to show it.
Do we?
This year, anyway. This year, specifically.
We definitely do. But they actually have to come out and play like it. And I think that's been the biggest adjustment is, okay, we have this guy who is our best player on both ends of the court. Now we take him out of the equation. We have to go back to being guys that we've been for the majority of our careers when we've been adjusting to making sure that this guy continues to be our guy.
I got a question for the group here. At what point do you need to see this team just rely on Tyus Jones being the ball handler? Like, I feel like when KD goes out, you see more of defaulting to Devin handling the ball more, sometimes Brad. And to me, I actually think it should be the opposite. When you don't have KD out there, I want Tyus handling the ball, you know, a majority of the time, especially in a fourth quarter, because then you can set up, you know, Book and Beal to do things, and I feel like they've underutilized that.
I think as we've watched more and more of this team through the first quarter, and unfortunately a handful of those games also coming without Kevin Durant, it feels like and this is probably because it's a brand new coaching staff and there's still a lot of learning and unlearning and relearning of things. The sequencing and organization of the offense, though it has hit in multiple pockets, it's not the same as it was with Kevin Young in charge of the offense under Monty Williams. And what I mean by that is you saw a lot of Chris Paul initiating offense naturally when he was on the team with Devin Booker. But they would mix in moments where Devin Booker was initiating offense too. And it never felt like they were trying to figure things out. They had a plan. There was a certain style of offense they ran when Chris Paul initiated. There was a certain style of offense when Devin Booker initiated. And to even more of an extent, when Mikal Bridges started getting better with his handle, the offense looked different when he initiated. I think they have to still kind of find their identity in terms of who's initiated and what's going on around it. But to your point, though, I think they do need to lean more into Tyus initiating offense when Kevin Durant isn't in the lineup, because that means that Devin Booker is off the ball. That means that he's at home. That means Bradley Beal is at home. They can screen for each other. They can flip matchups. They can cut. They can just get in movement before they get a touch, and I think that benefits them greatly.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think they need to lean into it a little bit more, but I do think there's also a misconception about what Tyus Jones is in terms of, like, if you look at his numbers from last year with the Wizards, his touches and his time of possession are actually more this year than they were with Washington last year. He's not the Chris Paul type that's going to perfectly table set everything for you. A lot of his assists, as we've talked about, are just kind of making the right pass, not necessarily, pick and roll and setting everybody else up. And I do think come playoff time, you cannot rely on an undersized guard who might be played off the floor defensively to do everything for you offensively. So to answer your original question, my answer would be never. I think you still need Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, even KD to be initiating offense, because come playoff time, you're going to need as many different options to go to as you can.
I agree, but without KD, and Lindsay, I'd love your thoughts on this too, without KD, it's so easy to double or triple team Devin when he is the primary ball handler, and that's where it becomes more difficult on him to figure out how to create. And that's why I don't need them to only rely on Tyus Jones when everything's working, but I feel like it's of utmost importance when you're missing KD, because of the factor when Devin Booker's put in that position, it's tough for him to carry everything as well at that point.
It's just another way to help combat like the doubles thrown at Book or Brad or whomever. But to Gerald's point, you don't want to have to rely on that all the time. So it is a balance of like utilizing what you have, but also finding other ways to keep your head above water when Kevin Durant is out. If you just rely on that only and then KD misses a few games in the playoffs, you're not prepared for that battle. You're not prepared to handle that situation if Tyus Jones does end up getting played off the court. So there's a balance. I'm not against them trying it, but I don't think it can be the only thing that they go to.
Yeah, for sure. But when Tim Legler spoke with us about that particular topic, this is about maybe 2 weeks ago now, he said that he feels like they need to use him more for the initiation of offense, because it puts all three of those guys at home, whether it's two of them on the floor, one of them on the floor, or all three. And I feel like, to Tim's point as well, the movement piece for those three is such an important thing, because it's hard to double when they're getting dynamic touches. If they're flowing off of screens into handoffs, or they're flowing off of a pin down, you can still double, but it's harder to double a moving target than it is when you can already see the screen is there. He's trying to come off here. We're going to force him into the screen, and he's got a big like Kevin Love who's blitzing as his foundation coverage-wise, just waiting for him to go to it.
One way or the other, they owe us this game and tomorrow's game, because they lost Thursday's game, and that was the deal we all agreed on. Whether or not they knew it, it doesn't matter. They owe us both these games, so we better get a Suns win tonight. Espo, what are they going to be wearing in this one?
They're going to be wearing the white.
No way.
No, what?
No.
But we got heat culture.
Breaking news.
Heat culture. What? Oh, was there? What's the breaking news? They're wearing the white
jersey. Yeah.
Is that the breaking news,
is.
Gerald, or did you see something else?
No.
Are you shocked they're wearing heat culture?
No, I was just shocked we're wearing the whites again. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well,
What?
I don't really care for them.
I don't like them either. I kind of low-key hate them.
Okay.
Those jerseys are hard, man. I'm not sorry about
Is it
that.
a culture if you have to wear it on your chest, right? Culture is what people see. It's not what you put on or what you slap on the court. Like, that's what bothers me about it, is the Heat do have a genuine culture, but now you're trying to make it a brand like that, and I think that's trash.
See, I don't mind that. It's the font of the word culture.
Well, I mean, the whole thing
looks
sucks.
so wrong. Like, you have Heat all fun and fancy or whatever, and then it's just culture. Like,
that's because
the
there's
font
nothing.
sucks.
There's nothing fun about the Heat's culture. It's work your ass off until you're bloody at the knuckles. That's Heat culture. Like, that's not fun.
Okay, well then find a font that matches the vibe. This is the most basic font you can find. Sorry, Drew.
I just like the Heat culture a lot more before they put it on a jersey. That's
Yeah.
it. That's
fair.
it for me.
It was like an unspoken spoken thing, and now it's like a whole thing.
They should have just put Pat Riley on the jersey.
I mean,
that's what the Heat culture is.
Riley way.
Yeah.
That would have worked.
Yeah.
Sorry, Steven.
That would've worked.
You're on an island on this one.
I'll be that. I love being on islands. I love
Probably the most fashionable guy on the show is saying he likes it, so I'm probably wrong.
I miss
Islands are a great place to be.
Islands
they
are dope.
It's facts. I miss the ones that look like they cut the letters out of a magazine. I actually
I
really like
the
those.
psycho murderer jerseys.
I hated those.
That
And
that
the
adds
Miami
up.
Vice one. Like,
Okay, the Vice
Those
ones
the
were
Heat
great.
have had some solid jerseys throughout the year, and I think
Yeah.
that's why this one lets me down a little bit.
Miami
because
Vice
the last
ones
couple
were elite.
ones have been like
Yeah.
on point.
I would say they could have did something to make the culture part pop more.
Yeah.
Maybe if they put instead of it being red on red with the jersey,
Right.
the color inside the letters should have been black and
Yeah.
outline that with white maybe, like twist it up a little bit so that it pops, but that's my only gripe. I like it a lot though.
Yeah. All right, who you guys got tonight, and by how much?
I
Tell
got
us
the
how you
Suns
really
by 2 in a close one.
Ooh, buddy.
I got them in a clutch game, and I think they end up winning it by 5.
Okay.
I love that it looks like we planned this out because it's 2, 3, 4, and 5. I took the 3.
I took the
in this
4.
case.
But
So-
you caught the vibe. Eric messed it up
Eric
last time,
messed
and he
it up
went like
last time.
double digits. We were like in succession, one after another, and then
Yeah.
he comes in.
So hopefully the Suns win. I mean,
Shocker,
we're
I know.
all in agreement that we think the Suns will win. Colt has Suns by 15. Nacho surprising. Oh, never mind. Just kidding. Heat by 7. I thought you were going to say Suns by 7, Nacho. You almost got me there, but then I had to read it
Yeah.
all the way through. Sean has Suns by 4. What do our friends at Bet365 think about this one when it comes to the money line?
The money line for the Suns at it should be, is it minus?
The
No,
Suns
it's a
are
plus.
plus
It's a
170.
plus
Heat are
170.
minus 205.
Minus 205.
So
okay.
this flopped.
Yes. So you got that part, and then we got the spread for the Suns at plus 5.5, and then the spread on the other side for the Heat at minus 1.5.
They're
So
basically 6-point underdogs tonight.
6-point underdogs. They got some work to do on that front, but I don't feel like it's that big of a difference between these teams, even without Kevin Durant, because Miami is such a middling team from their ratings across the board. Their literal record is 500 right now. They're a very even middling team.
Yeah,
So
that is Heat culture lately.
This guy.
Don't let James Jones hear you talking crazy like that.
we can't even say anything
Not at
as
all.
Suns people. I don't know. We can't be throwing stones.
Well, hey, we're following Heat culture right now.
Damn.
Well, then one day we'll win a championship, right?
Yeah, when we bring LeBron, Bosch, and and Wade here. Yeah,
Stop
sure.
it.
Let's do it. I'm down. Why not? Bring him out of retirement. Steal LeBron. Let's do it. Just kidding. I don't want that. All right. It's time for our pregame picks presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use the code PHNX365 when you sign up. Find out why, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Steven, since I know yours is the heftiest of them all, start us off.
Well,
Oh my God! Let's go!
I
Wow!
have Bradley Beal getting his game going even more than he did last time out. At 27 or over 27.5 points, rebounds, and assists combined. I think Devin Booker gets it going as well in a more efficient and sustained manner through 4 quarters at over 25 points in this one. Bam Adebayo, perennial defensive player of the year candidate. I have him at over 2.5 stocks. Tyler Hero knocked down 5 threes against the Suns. He's coming off of knocking down 9, including 7 in the third quarter against the Los Angeles Lakers in their most recent matchup. So I think he's going to – the Suns struggle with shooters, and they tend to lose them at times. I think he's going to find his heater in front of the home crowd. And by that same measure, if you look down to the bottom, I also have Duncan Robinson, who knocked down 3 makes in their previous matchup with the Suns, getting it going as well. And then the other 2, Bam Adebayo is their hub. They run their offense through him. 5 assists or more for him is easy money. And then Tyus Jones knocking down his threes is a consistency.
I mean, Bam has dished out at least 5 assists in a career-tying 7 consecutive games. So, okay.
He's averaging 5 on the season, a career high. He's getting it done.
Last
Yep.
5 games, 7-5, 7-10, 10 assists.
We're sorry, but we've run out of time because of Steven's bet. So we'll see you in postgame, everybody.
This guy.
Espo, what you got?
I've got Nacho saying something nice about Beal at plus
Yo.
12 million.
Oh, you're never going to win
Those
that.
are
I also-
terrible.
I also
I
have
mean, you
never
win a
gonna
lot of
win that
money,
bet.
but yeah. It's never
If you
gonna
don't just give money away, man, my pocket is right here.
I've already seen the way you bet. You're used to giving money away. I have Devin Booker 45 plus points tonight at a plus 1,400 because I think they might need it to actually win.
You know, this jumped up to 1,500 after you put your bet in.
Plus
so
1,500 is what I had it at. So
I don't think that's how it works.
Sorry, but if you want to get in on that, you can probably get it a little bit higher. Eric is going with a little baby parlay like me, but it's still plus 600. He's got the Suns money line, Devin Booker 20 or more points, and Royce O'Neal over 17.5 PRA, points, rebounds, and assists. I have a 3-leg parlay as well, but mine's only for a plus 350. I went ahead and took a boosted one, though. This came from
boosted.
This came from Bet365. Like, they created their own parlay. I didn't make one this time.
So Lindsay didn't even bet that risky. They just said, here, take a little extra.
Here's a little extra. Well, here's the thing. Like, Akeem in the chat brought it up, too. They said, I'm never betting on this team when Kevin Durant is out because it's so unpredictable. I have only won bets this year when Kevin Durant is in my parlay or part of my bet in some capacity, even if it's a straight bet. So I feel the same way. I don't know what to do right now with my bets when Kevin Durant is not out. Is not playing, I mean.
No, so fair. I mean, I just love that you have a boosted 3-leg parlay that's still only a plus.
I know. Well, it's just the Suns money line and Brad and Book to both have 2 or more threes.
They called it the Smith Special on Bet365.
Yeah.
You can also get a minus 150 bet in the Smith Special later if you'd like.
Let's look at the leaderboard
Yeah, we
and
can't
talk
even-
more trash about
Well,
the Smith Special.
I can still talk
very
trash.
much.
I still
We
got the
can.
belt.
Talk all the way from down in the negative. Ain't that right?
That's
Ain't
fine.
that right?
In
That's
the
fine.
trenches.
Minus 35 for Espo, minus 165 for Eric, and minus $181.67 for Steven. And I'm in the green with $35.93.
I'll talk to you post game.
Espo.
I'll talk to you post game where
Where you'll be minus 45?
And no, I'll be plus whatever that math is, 90 I think, and you'll be in second. It's fine.
I
don't
still
believe it.
think we need to count how many bets people are winning because I think Lindsay's going to handily win that.
Oh yeah, but
and still might not win. The
yeah, I mean that's
I'm
how
gonna
it
win,
happened
though. I'm
last
gonna win
year.
both.
Look,
I'm gonna win both.
Gambling isn't about taking the small swings. It's about hitting on the big ones.
Right,
So,
right.
And that's the way I live life. By the way, I just got 2 texts, and apparently I owe DLLS a full bottle of whiskey, and my 2 ASU hosts are not exactly sober right now.
I love that.
There we go.
Well, I mean, they did win a big game, so celebrate. Why not? All right, if you want to get in on the action, if you think Steven's bet or Espo's bet or Eric's bet or my bet is better, you can ride with us. But disclaimer, you must be 21 or older, physically located in Arizona. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. Text NEXT STEP to 53342 or visit problemgambling.az.gov. Any final thoughts before we go order our chicken sandwiches?
Yes.
Let's go.
Watch for matchups. Miami is very tricky with matchups. Those matchups should play in favor of the Suns regardless of how they decide to set them up. And then the other big thing, Kevin Love is going to blitz every screen. If he's involved, that means the short roll is open. I want to see how effective the Suns are playing off of that against this Miami defense, which is arguably the best in the league at rotating around defensively.
Quality analysis as always. My final thought, I did not know that there was a college named the Ragin' Cajuns, but I think that would be offensive. I don't know.
Actually, I guess now that you bring it up, maybe.
I mean, would you want to be known as Ragin'? I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know.
I'm okay with it. For me personally,
Usually you go to anger management when you're known as Ragin'.
well, you guys have sent me there already. So.
Sheesh.
I work with the 3 of you. All
I
right,
got nothing
thanks
to do
guys
with
for
that.
joining us.
I got nothing to do with that.
Are you throwing me in there?
All of you. All of you.
The Ragin' Smith. All right.
Pick your day. All right, just kidding. Love you. Thank you guys for joining us for the pregame show. We appreciate you. Don't forget, you still have time. Not much, but you still have time. You can come join us at Wild Horse Pass Hotel and Casino for the watch party. If not, you can always find when our next events are happening over at GoPHNX.com. Don't forget to meet us here after the game wraps up for the post-game show. Okay, bye.